Hey friend, have you ever thought about how weird it is that in our society people will put the most incredibly intimate information out there in public, and yet if you ask those same people, how much do you make? Man, you've just gone over the line. You've asked a taboo question. You just can't do that, right? Well, today we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. We're going to look at McKinsey, Bain, and Boston Consulting Group. And we're going to look at everybody from entry level up through partner. And we're going to look at what they make in terms of base and what they make in terms of bonus and what they got to do that at each level. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, hang around. See you on the other side. Hi, my name is Burns Hollyman. I'm the consultant's coach, and I help consultants be successful by providing them with coaching, online learning, tools, tips, and techniques. I'm really glad you're here today because we've got a really interesting and I hope very rewarding for you agenda on what people make in these three firms. If you find value, by the way, hit subscribe and the links below. You know the drill. And I'd like you to be able to jump around in this if you want, so you only get what you need. So I've time marked it. If you only interested in what entry people get, you can bail on finding out at the end what partners make and so on and so forth. Plus at the end I've got resources, but you can get to them right now. So really up to you. So let's talk about money.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
So what do you think? Is greed good? Put your comments below. I'd really be interested in hearing what you think. The thing about the people we're talking about at these firms, we're talking McKinsey, we're talking BCG and Bain. The thing is, they're just good. It has nothing to do with greed. These are really the creme de la creme, the top consultants in the whole strategy part of the market. Now, I should say, as a footnote, they're not the largest firms, but these partners make an awful lot of money. And that's what we're going to get into right now. Now, you're going to ask me, where'd this data come from? Like, how did I find this out? Well, there are a number of sources. One is Rocket Block. Another one is Consulting Magazine, as well as some other online consulting resources. And then I'm drawing upon my experience as a very senior partner and a senior vice president in both strategy firms and some implementation firms, very large ones. And you can find out about my bio on my site. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm not going to tease you with a slow build on what these salaries are. I'm just going to show you up front. So you can just check it out and bail on this vid if you want, or you can hang on and see the rest. But basically, this is what people make starting at the very bottom of the pyramid, and it is a pyramid, 60,000 on up to 5 million and beyond at the partner level, the senior partner level specifically. And we're going to get into each one of these right now. So if you're interested, continue on along the journey. If you found this channel to be of value so far, do the hit and like and subscribe thing. And I'd love to have your comments on what your perceptions are about these salaries. And you can do that obviously as we go along in this. But without further ado, on to the first one. Let's start with entry level. This is really how you come into the organization. And by the way, I should mention that I've got a whole, I think, pretty cool video on what the whole industry looks like and what they look for at different levels across different types of firms, not just the three strategy firms we're talking about today, but service firms, full implementation, and even vendor consulting. So please check it out. It's in the link below and hopefully up above here. Okay. On to entry. Entry is where you come out of school and you get a job. It can be through an internship or what have you, but an entry-level person comes in at these three firms typically as an analyst/associate. Each firm has a slightly different title. And you're going to make anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 doing that. And you're typically going to be in that job for at least 2 to 3 years. And what you're going to be doing is a lot of analysis for people more senior than yourself and on your team. And you're going to be building PowerPoint slides. Get to know PowerPoint. It's like the key tool of the consulting industry. But that's what you're going to be doing, is creating slides for more senior people. And you're going to be staying there till very late into the night. You're talking about 18-hour days. Very similar to what associates and law firms have to do when they come in their first year. They've got to be billable for at least 2,000 hours, if not more. So that's really what the entry level position looks like. And as I said on the other video that I referenced below, you can come in as an intern, and sometimes they'll even give you deals where if they really like you, they will pay part of your tuition for school if you're coming in as an MBA. So there are all sorts of arrangements that they make, and if they really want you and they really like you and you're really good, you can get in the door that way. Now, the next position I want to talk about is what I call the lower mid-level, because there's a middle layer of the pyramid that has 2 or 3 ladders in it. But this is the lower one, and this is where you're a consultant and you make anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 a year. And your experience there will typically vary 1 to 3 years. You're still going to be building slides. You'll do that for the rest of your life as a consultant. It's just a question of what your role is in building those slides. But you're going to be involved in analysis for the first time here in a significant way. That means crunching numbers in Excel or doing whatever it is the project's taken on to do the analysis. And you're also, guess what? You're going to get to fly the airplane. You're going to lead a work stream or a sub-project within the larger project. And that's a big deal. So that's where you're really going to be evaluated, and that's where you're going to add value if you do that. And that is the mid-level consultant position. Welcome to consulting. You're not just an analyst anymore. Great success. The next position, working your way up the pyramid here, is the mid-level project manager, and we're talking about someone who makes $200,000 to $300,000 a year. You'll be in this position for 1 to 3 years, typically before moving up or out, and your activities are going to be kind of different because you're going to be managing clients very actively now, and you're going to be managing a team with multiple work streams or sub-projects on it, and that's a lot of responsibility. In fact, most people that are in this position, the project lead, pretty much run the project day to day and are checked in on by people above them. It's a really, really important position, and this is the level at which you really have to prove what I call your trade craft. You have to show you've got all the skills needed, meaning the analysis, the ability to problem solve, and all of that standard stuff, but you also are good at managing the client. Now, this isn't a day-to-day relationship. You learn your, if you will, charm school charming skills with the client. Like, you've got to really prove yourself that you can get along with clients, that they like you, they see you as effective. And the other thing you have to do is show that you can manage people. It's really hard to manage teams in this day and age, especially in highly distributed environments. So those are the 3 things that people are going to be looking at you for promotion to excel on, and keep that in mind. And being a project lead is a really big deal. It's a lot of pressure, and it gets to be even more interesting as you go up the ladder. Let's talk about the high to middle level consulting category, and that is manager or principal. And this is, I think, of all of the positions on the ladder up to the top, probably the most important. You're going to do everything that a project lead does. You're going to run the teams. You're going to do client management. You're going to show leadership. You're going to be really the face to the client. The senior partner will come in, or the junior partner will come in occasionally and make guest appearances, but you're pretty much it. And all the same stuff that applied to the previous level, meaning you got to be really good at managing clients and managing projects and inspiring the teams that work with you. And those teams divide into your team members at your firm, but also the client team members that are working with you on the project. So you've got an awful lot of people you have to perform, and make happy as well as you go along. And this is where you need to show really great leadership, because it's this position that determines whether you go on to become a partner or not. And the key criterion, besides all the ones I just mentioned, is your ability to generate business. And the earlier in your career that you can bring business in, the faster you're going to get promoted, because that's probably the number one skill. I mean, these firms will tell you whatever you want, but the bottom line is, if you're going to go ahead and grow in the firm, you have to have the ability to bring in business. So this is where they look to see if you've got the initiative and the ability to do this. Now, it can be business within the firm that you're working with, meaning your client, just expanding the scope within that client, or the best thing in the world is to bring a brand new client to the firm above and beyond the one you're working with. That's really hard to do. And this is really one of the parting moments, sort of a gate, if you will, for why people ultimately move up or they move on and they move out. So really take this one seriously. Junior partner. Now we're really starting to get near the top where the pharaohs live. A junior partner is someone who is a partner, and they're typically making 350 to 500K. Bonuses can be anywhere from 150 to 500K. Plus, I should say at this level, the bonus is very heavily targeted on what your office has done or your practice, how much business they brought in, and the overall results that the firm has gotten that year. Has it been a great year, or was it a COVID year and business took a 20% dump, dive, whatever you want to call it? Here at this level, though, I would say the number one thing that people look towards is your ability to bring in business. It's a given that you've really got your trade craft down, your consulting trade craft. It's a given that you're great at leading people. It's a given that clients just really enjoy working with you, and it's a given that you can bring in business. All of those things together are the given here. And the thing that's going to tilt it in your favor is the ability to bring in business. Now, there's some other things which are really important, and that is how well you represent and build the brand. It's how you move, how you talk, and how you think. It's how often you're seen in public being quoted and being notable. You might have written a book at this stage. You might be doing TED Talk type talks at different places. You might have even somehow wangled a ticket to a really high level conference somewhere. So this is a really important one, and you put in the years and you show a continual level of progression here, then you're on your way to senior partner. Okay, now we reach the very top of the pyramid, the senior partner position that we've sort of been anticipating throughout this series. On the base, they're going to do anywhere from 500 to 650K, although there's some variability there. And the bonus is where they make all the money, so it's 150K on up, 5 million and beyond. In fact, if you're only doing 150K in bonuses, you're not really, I would argue, senior partner worthy. You have to be doing substantial activity beyond that to merit a larger increase. And if you're not doing that, you probably shouldn't be a senior partner. The best way to think about a senior partner is that they're an executive at a very large corporation, very senior executive. They're sitting on the management committee typically. They are involved with the running and governance of the firm. And we're talking about a firm that's probably anywhere from $10 billion to $14 billion on up, that has 30,000 employees. So the senior partner has a role in driving all of that, and they have a chunk of the business. They're running some sort of a vertical industry. They might be running a series of vertical industries. They might be running a whole set of things that go across, internationally across different countries and have a global responsibility. And think about them as the leaders. They're the people that really set the direction, the policy, the governance, and so forth. And it's a really interesting time to be a senior partner because these firms are all in the middle of transitioning into much larger entities. Again, see the other video, links below. So that's it. We pretty much hit all the bases in terms of positions, salaries, what you got to do to make the bank, as they say. And if you found any value, please hit like and subscribe. I'd love to have around the channel on an ongoing basis. There are a lot of resources below that I've talked about before, and I really think it's really important for you to look at the other video I did on how to get into these firms and how they hire, and that link's below as well. That link's valuable because in the footnotes, in the notes below, there are actual links to those sites for each of those firms and how they're hiring, and it's not just the top strategy firms. But if you do get hired by a strategy firm, you're one of the best. You're in with the creme de la creme. And by the way, once you're in there, they'll let you know that because they let everybody else know that. They can get a little cocky, but you know what? It's well deserved. If you don't, well, all I can do is urge you to buy the ticket, take the ride. I'll see you on the other side.